Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. Child, if this is your first time here, then welcome. If you're back for a second or third time, y'all, welcome back. Please stop right now and hit that subscribe button so you can come back for all of my reviews as well as that notification bell so you will be updated each and every time I upload a video. Listen here. If you're here for the first time, please excuse me. Pause for the cause. If you're here for a second or third time, let me speak directly to y'all. Honey, y'all almost didn't get this review. You know why? Because I don't care. I don't give a damn about this storyline they got going and dragging out for 15 episodes. Honey, we forgot all about Bolo when him and his fake Chantel outfit was back in the A. Honey, once he got in that Uber and they took him back to Atlanta, we cared no more. Why are we still talking about this? Quite frankly, I forgot that Portia allegedly even slept with him. And Kenya, what the hell is wrong with you? And Marlo, what the hell is wrong with you? Because quite frankly, you are the one that's keeping this Bolo story alive. Kenya was quiet a little bit. Now, here you come. Oh my God, let's get into it. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 13, episode 16, Hurricane Housewives. Honey, child, all these heifers need a hurricane. The kind you get down on Bourbon Street, honey. Get you real loose. Loose as a goose. Don't get me started. Full of that liquor when I step off in the party, okay? So when we first see the episode open up, honey, Al Roker, honey, they done put Al on the scene. Al Roker is talking about how the hurricane is finna hit the NO. And y'all already know when it makes it over to 13, Channel 13 or ABC News, then, honey, it's about to be the storm of the century. Take cover. Drew goes to meet Frida, but the girls don't know because it's a surprise, okay? So she gets there lickety split, okay? And then the girls are on their way. They get on the bus. Cynthia gets on, honey, dressed like she on her way to an interview. I'm like, Cynthia, child, you are sticking out like a sore thumb. You know, it's just like that one person that is with the group, but you're kind of like, is that the chaperone or whatnot? And that was Cynthia. Honey, Cynthia, I love you, but I didn't. Okay, girl. So they get on the bus. And Portia started talking. Portia was like, oh, you know what, Marlo? I thought I was exhausted from that conversation we had, but really it was the class that we did, that bounce class. And so then Marlo was like, yeah, you know, it was kind of exhausting, but it was the class. So Cynthia said, what kind of conversation y'all have making y'all tired? Honey, don't ask them because I don't want to open up Pandora's box. Please let these heifers shut up. So then the girls pull up to the kitchen. Drew greets them all, you know, being hospitable and whatnot, even greeted LaToya. That was big of you. And then they go inside the kitchen and they're like, what? We about to put on aprons and do some work? Honey, I ain't come here for all that. Big Frida comes from behind that freezer, honey. You already know. Okay? She comes out, honey. Listen. If you know New Orleans, then you know Big Frida. Okay, so they were all hype, all excited or whatever, honey. Finna get ready to embarrass them damn selves. I seriously had second-hand embarrassment during this episode. Child, we can't go nowhere and act like we got no sense, honey. Anyway, so then Big Frida lets them know that she's going to be teaching them how to cook booty bouncing potatoes or booty popping potatoes, okay? So as they're doing this, you know, they're getting everything together. So the girls get ready to go in and sit down after they've plated everything and done all their cutting of the onions and the sausage and the peppers. Honey, it was looking so good. I'm like, okay, come on through, meal. So Candy starts asking Marlo about the conversation. So what's going on with the conversation that you and Portia had? Why? Why is everybody so concerned about what everybody else is doing? What was the conversation about? What were you doing on the night in question? Where were you when Bolo was in this Bolo? Like, who cares? If y'all were not privy to it, if y'all were not there at the time, don't ask. Oh, can y'all tell I'm a little bit annoyed? Anyway, so Candy starts asking about the conversation. Marlo tells Kenya and Candy, because I ain't even see Kenya standing there first, that Portia was telling her to, you know, take it slow and tread lightly. And Kenya was like, well, who, with me? And she was like, yes, with you. She was like, well, what does that have to do with Portia? And Candy said, Marlo is being all dramatic about this whole thing, honey, when quite frankly, she does not need to be inserting herself in mess. So Marlo was like, Candy, let me just ask you, do you know if Portia slept with Bolo? Marlo, now I don't care how you try to spin this, you're wrong, okay? Because when you were over here with the nieces and you wasn't talking to Kenya until Cynthia pulled y'all together, you were not concerned about whether or not Portia slept with Bolo. You were the one advocating for her, saying it could have been porn. Y'all don't think it was porn? And you know what I'm saying? But now all of a sudden, you want to ask Kandi to see if you can get some confirmation that it was her. So Marlo was like, well, Kenya, let me just tell you that I asked Portia and she said it was a no. So Kenya was like, that's a lie. I'm like, oh my gosh. They're asking Kandi. Marlo was like, Kandi, do you know anything? Kandi was like, look, I'm not in that mess. Because let me tell you something. Kandi ain't going to tell y'all nothing, especially when it got to do with sex. If it has to do with a sexual escapade, you're getting nothing out of Kandi the Burris. I'm telling you right now, honey. So you might as well stop wasting your breath because Kandi ain't going to tell you nothing. So Marlo flips the switch on Portia and says in her confessional, Kenya saying it's one thing and then Portia saying it's not true. But, Kandi is not saying anything. So I feel like you lied to me and I don't want to be a friend with a liar. I mean, you could have told me I would have rolled for you. But now you looking guilty. Marlo, that is the dumbest logic that I have ever heard in my life. Why would she tell you her personal business? She didn't tell anybody in this group. She didn't tell Cynthia. She didn't tell Drew. She let everyone assume. So you're upset with her because she didn't confirm or deny what happened. She just basically said, nah, it ain't the truth. You should have taken that, because if you were truly her friend, whatever she gave to you, you would have took it at face value. Like, my friend said it wasn't true, so it must not be true. But the minute Kenya said something, now all of a sudden you're like, well, Portia is lying to me, and I don't feel like I want to be friends with a liar. Who said Kenya ain't lying? Which one of them is the liar? We don't know, okay? Child, we weren't there. Girl, gone now. Anyway, so Kandi was like, you just need to leave it alone, honey. Don't ask no questions. And Portia doesn't need to speak on it either. And I'm with her, honey. That's one speak on it we do not need. So then they get to the dinner, right? Everybody's sitting down. Big Frida is asking if they like the food. Kenya's like, it's really flavorful. Quiet as it's kept, I don't think they really like the food, okay? Wasn't no smacking going on, no slurping or nothing. The heifers were sitting there in awkward silence because there's tension. Let's just call a spade a spade. So they're sitting there, and Big Frida is like, well, it's good when ain't nobody talking. And I'm like, you don't know these heifers, honey. They ain't talking because it's finna be something. So then Marlo says, Big Frida, because, she be talking kind of hoarse, honey. Let me ask you a question. I'm asking you this as a friend. How you going to be asking him something as a friend? You don't know him. Girl, Marlo, honey, you so lost without Nene, honey. You need some guidance. Child, just as lost as you want to be. You need some direction. That's why Nene only brought you around on select events. Because you act like you don't have no sense. She's talking about, well, if you're friends with a person and you're really cool with them and y'all been friends for forever, and then you get this new friend, you couldn't stand to hear her name called, and then she tells you some information about the other friend, and you ask the friend if it's true, and that friend says it wasn't true. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Marlo, get to it. So basically, she, in a roundabout way, she's trying to figure out, if Portia lied to me, what should I do? So Frida said, I walk away from it. I don't be in the middle of it because I don't like confrontation. So Marlo was like, so I should just let them leave me out. And, I should just not feel stuck in the middle. Portia was like, wait a minute, are you talking about me? Because, we just had this discussion. Marlo looking crazy. Oh my goodness. Then Marlo said, Kenya was accused. Kenya was like, I wasn't accusing anyone. Marlo said, well, I feel like you accused her because Portia said it wasn't true. Oh my God. So then Kandi said in her confessional that Marlo was inserting herself unnecessarily. I agree, Kandi. And that ponytail on you and that lime green or yellow ensemble, honey, that's your look. Just a side note. So she was like, can we just move forward? And I am with her on that because really we don't care. Like, y'all care more about it. I guess it's because it's in real time and it's happening to y'all during that time. But we don't really care, like, at all. Just so we're clear, we don't give a damn. Okay. So Kandi was like, you're making it so dramatic. Y'all act like Portia is y'all girlfriend or something. Leave that woman alone. Like, it doesn't make any sense to keep bringing this up. So then Kenya said, why are you bringing Frida into it? So Marlo said, both of you motherfuckers was talking about it and talking to me about each other when I'm not around. What? Portia was like, I'm not your mother. She was like, yes, you my mother. I'm like, oh Lord, y'all know how Marlo get when she started popping off. Remember last season when they went to Greece and she told She called Cynthia Bob Marley and told her, "You gonna respect me when you in my motherfucking house, Bob Marley." I'm like, oh my God. Y'all know Marlo just goes off the deep end sometime. So Marlo was like, y'all need to address each other and leave me out of it. Marlo gets up and walks the wrong way because she decides to exit. She was like, I'm going to do what y'all do and I'm about to exit. This crazy heifer goes the wrong way. Big Frida, honey, got up, put his church finger up, and exited stage left, honey, because he has had enough. Honey, I already done told y'all that he does not want to be a part of drama. He got to go clean up that commercial kitchen because they're charging by the hour. Oh, these heifers. So anyway, Marlo comes back around, but she did admit that she went the wrong way, honey. I hate to be embarrassed, so I would have just stood at the door with it closed. I hate embarrassing myself. So I would not have even admitted that I went the wrong way. I would have literally drilled a hole in the floor until I got to the outside, honey. Anyway, Marlo comes back around and Drew was like, wait a minute, what is going on? Why are you getting so hyped? Like, what is happening? And so Marlo was like, you know, I'm just feel like I'm in the middle of this. Is too much. I F with Portia. Baby, Portia didn't like that. She was like, you don't F with Portia. You do not F with me. I'm like, oh, honey, please leave Portia alone. So then she goes on outside. So we see Drew and Kenya go outside and LaToya got up for whatever reason, honey. I think it was just to be nosy. So they all go outside. And so Drew was just letting Marlo know, you know, Portia is hurt by what y'all are going through in your friendship. So just come on back inside, girl. Marlo was like, nah, I ain't going back inside with that liar. She's a liar. I'm like, oh, okay, girl. So after that, we see Kenya inside talking about the conversation. She comes back inside and says that Marlo feels like Portia. And baby, when she said Portia was like, don't say my name. Okay? Don't say my name. And then we see Portia in the confessional saying that Marlo just wanted a nugget from her to insert herself in between the mess. I mean, I kind of feel like that's true. Because, I mean, otherwise, why are you so concerned about this? And now you've created this whole scenario that makes absolutely no sense. Like, I'm not understanding what's happening. So Kenya said, I can say your name. I can say whatever I want to say. And so then she was like, so why did you F Bolo? And so then Portia said her speech, and then Kenya was like, that's a lie. Why are you lying? And Portia said, yeah, you're right. I effed everybody. Candy, I should have knocked on your door. And then Candy was like, ooh, because you know, honey, anything freaky, honey, Candy's all for it. So Candy was feeding into the BS. Portia was speaking her speech over on the other side. Portia starts saying she should have called Candy. And then Kenya said that the issue is how it's affecting other people's relationships. It shouldn't be affecting other people's relationships because y'all shouldn't care. Like, y'all just really should not care. So then Kenya said, you should have just did it in the living room in front of everybody so we all could see. Wouldn't you have liked to have seen that? Because, honey, you said you stood at that door for 45 minutes. So I don't understand. Drew says she feels like Marlo wants to be Kenya's friend by any means necessary, so she is willing to throw Portia under the bus. Honey, I don't know who's saying what and who's right and who's wrong. All I know is this whole scenario makes absolutely no sense. Marlo has inserted herself in between when nobody even asked her about that. You're mad at Portia for whatever answer she gave you when you feel like she should have given you another answer. I just don't understand. Okay, so before the next morning, Candy calls Marlo to talk because Candy was like, it's got to be something deeper because I'm not understanding why she's so worked up and why this drama is affecting her like this. Yes, the issue is Nene is gone, honey. That was who she clung to stay out of the mess. So now that she has no ally, honey, she just wherever the wind blows, and she doesn't know, really, it's her having anxiety over who to choose. This is what I think. This is my personal opinion. She likes Kenya, but she don't really want to let Portia know how much she likes Kenya. So she's happy that they're friends again. She likes Portia, but she kind of likes Kenya more than she likes Portia. That's just my observation. So, because the way you spinning this whole Bolo thing, it leads me to believe that. So I feel like she's having anxiety over who should I be friends with more. And so you just created this whole scenario so everybody could get hyped. So you could say, I'm going to remove myself because you guys are putting me in the center of it. That's what I think. Now, that's just my opinion. But back over when we were at the restaurant or at the commercial kitchen and they were having the dinner, Candy said, well, how can we come to some kind of resolve? How can we get to the end? And Kenya said, I'm not sure. Honey, I will tell you. Stop talking about it and then we'll get to the end. Anyway, so Marlo came into Candy's room. They started talking. Marlo said, one of them is a liar and the other one is telling me something and I don't know if it's true. So Candy was like, look, Portia gave you an answer. You just didn't receive the answer that she gave you. You wanted her to give you an admission of guilt. And Marlo was like, no, I just want her to be real. She was like, well, she told you it wasn't true. So she didn't give you the answer that you wanted to hear. I think Marlo just wanted to feel like she was in with Portia enough for her to confide in her that she slept with Bolo. Honey, y'all ain't cool like that. Portia ain't no dummy now, honey. She might think it's 265 days in the year, but she ain't that stupid. The next morning, we see Toya creep on over to Kenya's room, honey, because we know LaToya ain't got nowhere else to go. So then she was like, this whole drama has just drained me. Girl, just be happy you're not involved for once, okay? So then Kenya was like, well, how did it drain you? Well, I'm trying to figure it out too. So then she tells Kenya that Portia left. And so Kenya was like, how do you know Portia left? Toya said, well, Portia's gone. Candy told me when she left. And Kenya was like, Candy left? Well, that's not cool. Me and Candy were actually friends. So then Toya said, and Portia left Shamia. Listen. They both start cackling over that. But to me, Portia gonna leave and Shamia gonna stay whether Portia is there or not. Because if y'all remember season 10 when they were in Barcelona and Portia packed up, Portia gonna leave a trip and Shamia gonna stay at a trip no matter who invited her. Honey, Shamia say, I'm gonna have my fun. Whether you here or not. Season 10 when they went to Barcelona and Marlo and Portia got into it over there. You know what? I just had an epiphany. Every time Marlo and Portia get into it on a trip, Portia leaves, because in Barcelona when they got into it over that doormat and then then Marlo stood all up over Portia and grabbed her fan and they started hooping and hollering. Portia exited on the first flight back to Atlanta. In New Orleans, her and Marlo are into it yet again and she left Shamia behind. Shamia gonna stay behind, so don't worry about Shamia, Toya. You done came in and tried to say something, honey. You don't know the dynamic. She's staying for Drew, so she's not really concerned, honey. She's letting it be known that she can stand on her own. Anywho, so Kenya was a little upset about that. Over at the other room, we see Drew telling Cynthia that Portia left, and Cynthia was like, what? Oh my gosh. Then we see Marlo and Kenya go over to Cynthia's room so they can start talking. And Kenya was just saying, Marlo, you was acting crazy last night, honey. You was calling us all kinds of names, cussing us out. Then they show us an excerpt of Marlo taking a picture of them and calling them fake. And I'm thinking this must have been before they actually sat down to dinner. I'm confused on the timeline because I can't possibly think she would come back and Portia would be smiling as she took a picture. Like, that didn't make any sense to me, but okay. So they were sitting there waiting on food, and then all of a sudden, so Drew called and was like, your food is over here. They go to get the food. All of a sudden the lights go out, honey. That's the night that the lights went out in New Orleans. Okay, I would say Georgia, but they down in the NO. Kenya and Cynthia are standing at the elevator. The lights go down. Shamia and Drew are in one room. The lights go down. I don't know where LaToya was. I really don't. I didn't see her after that. Marlo was trapped in Cynthia's room. Portia and Candy got out just in time, honey. They were literally in the eye of the storm. But there was a storm brewing between these heifers, and they got out of both. Okay, they dodged a bullet. Back in Atlanta, we see. So then they start packing up to get ready to leave the trip in the dark, okay, because they can't see anything. And so Kenya is going to say, well, at least in the Isle of Psalms, they had the island of Psalms, they had a good time. So I think I won. No, had Candy not brought Bolo, no, and really your trip was the worst because now we're carrying on with mess from your trip 17 episodes later. You didn't provide food. You could care less if they ate anything. You gave them a pig on a plate, honey, in a big trough for them to eat. Child was fussing, fighting. LaToya made raw shrimp, honey. No, thank you. Okay, Drew's trip was terrible and so was yours, honey. Y'all should have just left the trips out because of COVID. We see back in Atlanta, Drew in the hot tub with Ralph telling him that despite everything, she still had a good time and she still did good. Okay, girl. Then we see Candy go over and speak to Clifton Powell. And I liked this scene in the episode. This was my favorite part. So Kandi goes over and gets a little bit of wisdom from him, and he tells her to just be focused and be consistent. All right, one of the greats giving you a few tips, Kandi. Get into it. We see Kenya sitting with Shay, her cousin, and they're talking about how Detroit helped the election and how, they won Detroit and they're just waiting on Atlanta. Then over on the other side, we see Portia going over to visit Cynthia at her home to celebrate the fact that Joe Biden was elected president and Kamala Harris vice president. Come in and pop some bottles. Portia goes over and sits down on the couch because her and Cynthia are doing a short video for Black-owned businesses and some pop-up shops. So they did this 99 takes thing, honey. It took them 99 times to get this together, but I feel that, honey, because sometimes when I'm doing these videos, I have to stop, pause for the cause, and regroup. I get y'all, okay? Portia, and so Cynthia was like, girl, you didn't even tell us you were leaving. She was like, oh, I did at the dinner table, honey. That was my bye. Portia said, I just had to leave because, Marlo was tripping. Cynthia said, I was embarrassed in front of Big Frida. I was personally embarrassed. Portia said, well, Marlo, I'm trying to figure out what is wrong with you because we had just had a conversation. Everything was good. Cynthia said, well, can y'all get over it? Portia said, that's not my type of B, honey. Marlo fake. That's not my type of B. I'm not going to be able to do it. Cynthia said, well, Marlo is hurting. Portia said, if I got to hear one more time about somebody hurting me, I'm going to kill myself. Honey, Portia said, I can't take no more. Child, it's getting ridiculous. Kandi calls in and lets them know that they need to come to the soft opening of Blaze. Honey, listen. That's all we needed to focus on this episode, quite frankly. That's goals right there, honey. Kandi got the work ethic of a Jamaican. Kandi gonna have 19,000 businesses. Her iron is hot all the time, and I'm here for it. Todd and Kandi show up at Blaze, honey. Business couple goals. Todd is over there trying to light the fire, honey. Almost seared off his whole damn hand, honey. He done singed off the knuckle hair on his hand. I'm like, boy, don't do that. Don't light that suit of fire. Your arm length from the fire it's a short distance, honey. You're short. Drew shows up with Ralph, dressed inappropriately. Oh my goodness, honey. That's all I got on that, honey. I'm not even going to get into it, y'all. I'm not. Cynthia shows up. Then Portia shows up, dressed in all black like the Omen, honey, and dressed down in Black-owned attire. Okay, Mama Joyce and the OLG showed up. And then Mama Joyce said, my birthday tomorrow, honey. Okay. Then Shamia shows up. Then Kenya and Marlo. They sit around. They talk, honey, and sing. Oh, child. Anyway, honey, the season finale is coming up in 2 weeks. And then we head to the reunion. And that is the end of season 13. Thank goodness, honey. What a drag. Anyway, I tried my best. Thank you all for listening. Please don't hesitate to comment, like, and subscribe. Send this to a friend. Share it with someone you love. Thank you so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.